What's up guys, Dark Dally here playing The Crew 2. I'm currently playing this game in beta. If you're watching this, the game may well be out by now. And one thing I want to look at is, if you like driving around and touring the country, what is the best car to do that? You know, there are best overall cars for getting anywhere, and there are best cars for maybe your style of driving. Now, me personally, I like to explore. If you're watching this video, I would assume you like to explore and tour the country too. Now let's get right to it. Right here, I'm driving a rallycross car. These, in my opinion, are probably the best all around, and I'll get to, maybe why here in a second. Well, I can show you why right now. And then I'll show some of the other cars, some considerations you might want to take into finding your perfect car to going touring around America in. Now, if you've played this game, you know this map is massive. We got deserts, we've got snowy mountains, we've got swamps, we've got beautiful forests in the Rocky Mountains and up in New England. We've got so many different kinds of terrain and so many different ways to, traverse this massive map of America, which is probably close to a couple thousand square miles. Now, I choose a rallycross car, and I'll show you why. The rallycross car is a great mix between everything. See, every vehicle type in this game has one thing it does really well, and a couple other things it may not do so well at all. The rallycross car can go full speed on any road, be it paved or dirt, and they do decent off-road. This little car right here in its current state of tune will hit close to 200 miles an hour, even on a dirt road. Now, I'm a little limited off-road. It'll only go about 90, maybe 100 miles an hour here off-road. So this is not the best for climbing, no, granted. But this is great for getting around. This will get you pretty much everywhere that you want to go. Now, if you really want to get off-road, and I like doing off-road stuff, I highly recommend a rally raid car. These things are incredible. They can climb mountains like nobody's business. These things are incredible, but they're simply not going to be as fast on the road. Now, maybe you want some old school American touring spirit. And if that's the case, there's no better car to go on a road trip around America than a 1967 Chevy Impala. If you guys, I watched the show Supernatural, so for me, it was a natural thing. I had to go get me a 67 Impala. As far as efficiency, I really do think rallycross is the way to go. But if you want to have fun and get that American spirit, I gotta say, the Rat Rod, a good old school, Rat Rod. This thing is really fun. I don't have it tuned very much. I just have just light performance tuning. And it's something I just like to drive around. I just follow the signs, see what town's coming up next. And in my free time, I like driving around the game and just having fun, running into events, picking up loot. And see, that's one thing too. You don't have to race to make money and upgrade your car. You can drive around and you can find those little loot boxes and get plenty of performance upgrades like that. In fact, my rallycross car, which you just saw, is upgraded pretty well, and there are no rallycross events in beta. It's fully upgraded just from driving around and finding those little loot boxes of performance parts dotted around the map here and there. That's a great way to modify your car. And you can make a decent amount of money doing the photo events. You can find the photo events here in, if you go over to activities, you can pick any one of these and you can go, you can pick any one of these and you can go all the way over to photo album. And here it gives you, like wildlife, take pictures of this stuff, and you get $15,000 for each one of these. Now, of course, that's, it's quicker to make money racing, and eventually you'll run out of these. But you can even make money, and you can definitely upgrade your car all the way, just driving around and exploring. And now I have a lot of fun driving this thing. Now, there's some cars that are fun to drive as well, and they're simply not very suited for this, and I'll show you the cars that are simply not suited for this. Actually, first, here's a consideration right here. If you like to explore in The Crew 2, which I definitely do, of course, as I've said, a lot of people are going to stick to the street method. Just a street racer, a hypercar, or a touring car. Here we have just a street racer, my RX-7. I've made it attractive to my own tastes. It looks good, it's fast, it gets you from point A to B pretty quickly, and it's fun to drive around. But when it comes to going off-road, again, that's why I always keep my rallycross car as my favorite car. It's been my go-to because it'll pretty much go anywhere and everywhere. So touring cars, street cars, and hypercars, they're going to get you where you want to go. But I think if you're interested in seeing the scenery, you're probably not too concerned with going incredibly fast anyway. And you might just want to have something that looks cool and puts you in that mode. Like one of these. I love this thing. I love driving around in my little rat rod. That said, there's some cars that really are not very well suited for seeing the scenery. This one's kind of a mixed bag right here. This is a drift car. Now, in a way, these are awesome for seeing the scenery. There's nothing like finding a winding mountain pass and pulling some downhill drift action, you know, going down the mountain, trying to swerve around the traffic, or, you know, doing a little Ken Block, Gymkhana action, you know, going through the cities. But these things are a real pain to actually drive. If you're trying to actually get someplace, this car right here is not what you want to be driving, because every time you try to make a small adjustment to the steering, you're going to start fishtailing. Now, the same is going to be said for drag cars. Drag cars, not practical at all. There's no drag events in the beta that I'm currently playing, so I don't know how the drag events are going to pan out. I imagine it'll be pretty cool. I don't actually own a drag car, so let's just take this for a test drive, and I'll show you why this is not a practical solution for anything. They accelerate really fast. Every time you hit the gas, you're pulling wheelies. Constantly pulling wheelies. They accelerate far too fast in a straight line. It's like trying to drive an airplane down a road. So, no, these are pretty much right out. You know, there's a lot of cars that, though they look cool, are just impractical. Some of these cars whip some gnarly wheelies, and you gotta slam on the brakes for every turn. Now, let's go ahead and get out of this test drive here. That said, as long as we're talking about impractical cars, these things are fun. These things are really fun, but they're so maneuverable. Notice the four-wheel steering. These things are really fun, but they're almost too maneuverable. Monster trucks are almost too maneuverable. They can jerk around. They're also too big to fit a lot of the places. That said, though, they're pretty fun off-road, and they can drive right through the swamps with no problem because you're lifted up so high. Now, as long as we're talking about that, a good rally raid car will suit you pretty well in pretty much every situation. I choose rallycross, but rally raid, you really can't go wrong. You can haul ass through the swamps because you have a snorkel. The Skyline right here, it has a snorkel on the roof. I can literally drive through windshield deep water and the car won't stall. So you can take these through shallow rivers, through any swamp. These go anywhere. They're just not quite as fast as the rally cross cars. But these rally raid cars, the trophy trucks, and these jacked up cars like I have right here are great for this kind of thing. They really are. These are really good for getting pretty much anywhere you want to go. Now, that said, let's go back to my favorite car. I gotta say, these give you a decent mix of speed, maneuverability, and the ability to cross most kinds of terrain, climb some decent hills. They can go through some decent water. So it's all going to fit to your taste. If you want to just tour the streets and get that America, you know, classic, you know, feeling, get a hot rod or get a muscle car, and, you know, maybe don't go too heavy in the tuning. Just get it just so it sounds right and just kind of cruise through the towns. If you want to get someplace really fast, then you're probably not interested in this at all, because you can just fast travel. And I didn't mention planes because it's kind of the same thing. If you're the kind of person who just wants to fast travel or get in a plane and get there as quickly as possible, then by all means do so. But if you want to have some fun and really experience Americana, I recommend a muscle car or maybe something like this. This will get you anywhere you want to go. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Tell me what your favorite car is. How do you like to get around in the Crew 2? There's so many thousands of miles of roads, and I like to drive them when I can. How do you like to get around? All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. It's been a real pleasure. I'm Dark Dally. I will catch you guys next time.